There's a party here on the XPound. Ah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for episode 2 of Disney Month. Technically, episode 3 if you count the Wreck-It Ralph review, depending on if that's out before this one or not. Who knows? If it's not, that'll be number 3. Stay tuned. Or, well, yeah. With that said, allow me to introduce myself. I am, of course, James Phoenix, and this is yet another Rise from the Airwaves Showtime crossover. Joining me, of course, from Showtime is Marcus Shadow.
Yellow.
And tonight we're going to be talking about not one, but 2 movies. That's right. We're double dipping tonight, primarily because one of them is incredibly short and a piece of crap.
Psst, it's made for TV, people. That's why it's short and shit.
Short and shit, good descriptor.
I learned from the moon.
Ah, indeed you did. Indeed you did. But yes, in follow up to our previous review of the hit Disney film Aladdin from 1992, we will tonight be looking at Aladdin's count of two sequel films, The Return of Jafar from 1994 and Aladdin and the King of Thieves from 1996. Both of these are direct-to-video films. Specifically, in actuality, the first ever direct-to-video films ever made by Disney. And yeah, let's get into this here. Let's start with The Return of Jafar.
Yes.
The Return of Jafar is a direct follow-up to the hit 1992 movie Aladdin, and it picks up sort of where the events left off, with Aladdin living in the palace with Princess Jasmine, etc., etc., planning nuptials and other such good things like that there. Long story, very, very short. Aladdin, I should say, Iago and Jafar managed to escape from the desert sands where Genie imprisoned them at the end of the first film. And Iago dumps Jafar still trapped in his lamp down a well and decides to go out on his own. His plan being to gain sympathy from Aladdin and his friends and get back into the palace so he can go back to living the life of luxury that he so enjoys. This works when he ends up inadvertently saving Aladdin's life when Aladdin gets jumped by a group of goons led by a moronic thief known as Abysmal, which, if you couldn't tell by the pun of the name, is actually abysmal. So, Abysmal, voiced wonderfully by Jason Alexander, leads his goons against Aladdin in the marketplace after Aladdin had previously, in an earlier scene, robbed him of all the loot he had stolen and gave it to the people of Agrabah. Iago saves his life and thus ends up back in the palace. From there, hijinks ensue, and inevitably, via Abysmal finding the lamp, Jafar is released and attempts to enact his revenge on Aladdin. So,
Released from the lamp, but not from Genie's servitude.
Correct. He is still a genie, and while he is free from the lamp, he is still a servant of the lamp, a prisoner of the lamp, and must, of course, follow the genie rules.
Although I find it funny that the one rule that's never actually enforced is Genie shalt not kill. Because I'm pretty sure that rule didn't stop him from actually trying to kill people. I'm sure it was other people who stopped him from trying to kill people, as opposed to, the rule saying thou shalt not kill, and him going, well, god damn it.
Did you even watch the movie? That rule was brought up multiple times. It's a running gag in the movie.
But it was never enforced. He didn't stop trying to kill Aladdin because the power of the genie forbade him from trying to kill Aladdin. He stopped trying to kill Aladdin because someone stopped him every single time.
Well, it's not that. The thing is, it's the power win though. Because the thing is, Jafar could throw absolutely everything he had at Aladdin. He could magically create a nuke and nuke Aladdin, and because it's genie magic, it would not kill him, no matter what Jafar did.
Yeah, but, for instance, he grabbed Aladdin and tried to squeeze the life out of him, and I pretty much guarantee you, if he hadn't been stopped by somebody else, he probably would have killed Aladdin.
No, he wouldn't be able to. Genies cannot kill. He could have squeezed him all he wanted, but he could not have squeezed him hard enough to kill him. He could not have done it. It's against genie rules. The magic of his being would not allow it.
then where's the danger? Why were they like, oh no, we have to free Aladdin? It's like, yeah, okay, Jafar, do whatever the hell you want. You can't kill him.
And I quote, "You'd be surprised what you can live through."
True.
Again, recurring through the film. Pay attention.
Fair enough.
At any rate, yes. So this film is a 60. The box claims 66 minutes. A review I read claims 69, somewhere in that general vicinity. It's about an hour. And effectively, the film is not very good. It was Disney's first ever direct-to-video film that they made under their home video department. And the intention of this film, presumably, whether they came up with it as fact or not, was that this film serves as effectively a backdoor pilot, I guess effectively a film pilot for the Aladdin animated TV series that aired on Disney Channel for a number of years in the 90s.
It's painfully obvious.
Yes. The purpose of this film serves multiple purposes. The first being that it explains, because they had left that cliffhanger of, well, Jafar is now a genie and he's now trapped in a lamp in the desert. Okay, we got to follow up on that. He's not exactly dead, and now he's got phenomenal cosmic power. So, and I know you want to, you go ahead and say it.
Phenomenal cosmic power. Itty bitty living space.
Correct. Anyway, so it was to finish up, follow up on the story of Jafar, and basically finish what was started in the first movie with the ending of the primary villain. Also to introduce Abis Mol, one of the recurring villains of the television series, and also to explain why, based on the events of the first film, Aladdin and Jasmine were not married and why Aladdin was not the Sultan. So they kind of explain that out by saying that the whole, the Sultan tries to appoint Aladdin his royal vizier in this movie, but that's kind of, the trust of that is kind of shattered when it's revealed that Aladdin has been sheltering Iago in the palace for a brief time after the life saving in the marketplace. And so it kind of explains that Aladdin doesn't want to be cooped up in the palace and wants to see the world, which is why he has not taken over as Sultan or as any important role in the palace because he's chosen not to, which is why he can fly around beating up random bad guys in a TV series.
Yep.
Also serves to explain that despite Genie going off to see the world, he saw it pretty damn quick and came back.
Yep.
It's a small world. No. So there's that. A couple other relevant things to mention for this film is that unfortunately Robin Williams does not voice the genie in this movie, and there's a reason for.
Boo.
I agree, boo. Hey, credit to Dan Castellaneta, most
Yeah.
famous as voice of Homer Simpson. He does a respectable job as the genie. In all fairness, anybody pales in comparison to Robin Williams, but given what he had to work with, Dan Castellaneta did a respectable job.
He did.
Dan Castellaneta also voices the genie for the duration of the TV series, again doing a decent job there as well.
He did the singing for the genie, did he not?
Hmm?
I say he did the singing for the genie as well, did he not?
Yes, Dan Castellaneta also did the singing for the character.
I'll give him credit. He's got a good voice.
He's got a decent singing voice. Hey, Homer has sung songs before. That's not new.
Oh.
I think he has. I'm assuming it's been, 28 fucking years. I'm sure he sang something.
Probably. I haven't heard any of it, but.
And I know it's not actually been that long. I'm exaggerating, but still. So anyway, the purpose of the movie was what I mentioned. I said Dan Castellaneta voices Genie, does a decent job. The reason behind this being that following the first film Aladdin, there was an agreement between Robin Williams and Disney in the contract, because Robin Williams was at this time starting to become a fairly well-known actor.
You think?
Well, he wasn't all that well-known just yet. He was on the cusp. And the reason, he accepted this animated role thinking he'd be something fun to do, great character, and he could kind of be witty as a cartoon. But he didn't want to be heavily promoted as being part of the movie. Because right around the same time, he had a little movie coming out called Good Morning Vietnam.
Ah.
And because he was heavily promoting that film that he actually appeared in, that was this big role for him, and it is an excellent movie, recommended. This big role for him, he didn't want attention being drawn away from that because of him being in this cartoon movie. So his contract stipulated that his name was not to be mentioned in the. They could mention him as roll the genie in the little thing on the splurb on the back, but they couldn't heavily advertise him being in the movie. And there was a limitation as to the size that the genie could be on the promotional materials. It was all in the contract per Robin Williams specifications. and I don't. Didn't I pull it out? I don't. Okay, maybe I left it in the closet. I have the Aladdin box somewhere in my. I had the VHS box in my closet somewhere, but if you look at the Aladdin VHS box, the cover that we all kind of know, you'll see that yeah, they basically did not do that. Effectively, they got around it by basically saying, okay, I think it was something like the genie cannot take up more than 25% of the box, or something like that was the rule. So they said, all right, genie will take up 25% of the box, but we're going to make everything else proportionally smaller on the box so he still looks huge by comparison.
To be fair, Robin Williams has done that himself.
Well, I can, he wasn't that big of he wasn't a household name back then. He was just starting to become this slightly better known actor. He hadn't done that many movies yet.
No, what I'm saying is he's done that himself by giving them that loophole by not realizing, yeah, okay, so your character takes up X amount of space, we can make all the other characters smaller. In fact, he or his people didn't think of that. Yeah, they've kind of done that themselves.
True, but in all fairness, it's kind of a dick move on Disney to extort a fucking loophole like that.
It's Disney.
Yeah, I know. At any rate, so effectively this was a big point of contention, and after this happened, there was a large falling out between Disney and Robin Williams, and he refused to appear in the sequel or the TV series. So they hired Dan Castellaneta, who does a respectable genie, to be the voice, and he voices Genie in Return of Jafar and throughout the course of the television series, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fun. But that was the issue there. Also, unfortunately, not returning is Leah Salonga, the singing voice of Jasmine. She's replaced in this film, unfortunately. But replaced
Also,
by
not as good.
Well, replaced by Liz Calloway, who does a respectable Jasmine job. She's not Lisa Longa, but she's done well. She's done other Disney voice acting as well, namely the voice of adult Kiara in Lion King 2.
Which
She's
is
done
fine.
Disney. That works. It's respectable enough for a direct-to-video sequel.
Yeah.
She also brought the singing voice for Jasmine in the third film, but we'll get to that. So this is Return of Jafar. It's basically a bridge between the first movie and the TV series. It's an hour long. The songs in it are generally not very good.
No.
The highlight song is, and the one that's always mentioned in the movie that's actually halfway decent is, I Can't Forget About Love, which is sung by Iago and Jasmine, as Iago is basically using reverse psychology on Jasmine to get her to fall back for Aladdin after his intrusion kind of caused them to have a breakup and Genie guilts him into it. That's a really great song. I personally also like Iago's song from the beginning, I'm Looking Out for Me, which is great.
Mm.
Jafar's song,
I will say this
yeah,
though. I can't forget about love. It is no shit. I just blanked on the name of that song. You
A
know,
Whole New World.
yeah, a whole new world. Thank you. Love that song.
No, of course it's not. It's not meant to be.
No, but it's supposed to serve the same purpose, and I know it's kind of bad, but both in that movie and in the third one, I have to compare whatever song serves that purpose in that movie. I always have to compare it to a whole new world, and nothing compares to it.
Well, that's just it. So it's worthless to compare because nothing will ever live up. It's
I don't know. Can you feel the love tonight? Got pretty close to it.
yeah, it did. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, these songs. It's a different movie, and that song in Return of Jafar was meant to be a comedic song because it wasn't just about them being in love. It was about Iago trying to get them back together. It's supposed to be a funny song with the romance mixed in, not a straight up romantic song,
True.
which is the purpose of that. Um, so overall, yeah, this movie exists. I've been talking too much. What do you think, Marcus?
Thank you. um, yeah, you touched on some good points there. I think the problems with this movie that made it kind of not as good as it could have been were only 60 something minutes long, all pretty much a made for TV movie. The quality of the animation is quite obviously not up to movie standards, and I believe you yourself said it was the same like animation team that did the TV show.
Well, I don't know that for a fact, but just looking at the animation style, it's pretty close to the TV show, if not the same people.
And animation was kind of for a movie was kind of, as one would put it, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that didn't help. Not having Robin Williams back as the genie really hurt this movie. Um, and I don't think it hurt it because Robin Williams wasn't the genie. It hurt it because the people writing for the genie couldn't write it for anyone else but Robin Williams, and it was painfully obvious they wrote it for him. And Dan Castellaneta just cannot pull off Robin Williams. If they had wrote that role for Dan Castellaneta, I think it would have been a much better movie just on that alone.
Well, it's fair enough. Like I said, I don't know if they knew right off the bat that he wasn't coming back, so it's entirely possible that they did write it for Robin Williams. I don't know.
Right.
Like I said, I will say, if you ever watch the animated series of the Genie in that, I do think they write much more for Dan Castellaneta in the TV series because they obviously they knew he was going to be the permanent voice actor, so they did change it up for the series.
Right. And that's fair enough.
And he
But
still has a lot of pop culture references to different things, but
right. But they wrote it more for him than I could see that role being that character being a lot funnier in the cartoon than it was in that movie.
mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if they got Alan Menken back to do the music for this because it seems like they kind of half-assed the music for this one, and that kind of that really hurt.
Like I said, most of the music was just remixes of the music from the first one. They didn't really write anything new. So while
Right.
it was technically Alan Menken's music, I doubt he did the rearrangement.
Right. Well, it's also talking about like the lyrics and stuff too.
Well, Alan Menken's not a lyricist.
Oh, I thought he did the whole shebang. My bad.
No. You have to remember, Alan Menken is a musician. Howard Ashman was the lyricist,
Ah.
I believe.
Anyhow, yeah. So, well, then Alan Menken might have done the actual melodies of it, which the melodies were fine. I think they could have been expanded a little bit more and made more grandiose. But for the most part, the little tunes and ditties were kind of okay. They were kind of Disney-ish. The lyrics were just terrible. Oh my.
Yeah, kind of.
Um, but yeah, not being able to get Leah Salonga back that really hurt. And she, like you said, the girl that did a respectable job, but she's no Jasmine.
Fair enough.
um, but on the plus side, despite the fact that I said this movie was shit, I do have to say the strong point of this movie is its story, because the story was really good, the concept was really good. And of course, I think they got, for the most part, the same actual voice actors and actresses back, except for the Sultan, who sadly passed away.
Yes, unfortunately, in the original film, the Sultan was portrayed by the rather legendary and somewhat well known Douglas Seal, who was also well known for playing Santa Claus in Ernest Saves Christmas and basically being the warm uh, the warm personality to old guy in a lot of movies. And unfortunately, he sadly was rather old at the time of the making of the film. Um, or no, actually, no. Actually, I lied. Never mind.
Oh,
He didn't pass away until 1999, but he might have been sick, so maybe that's why he didn't do it.
fair enough.
Cause he yeah, is Aladdin. He's also been in Amadeus. He was also in the movie A Smoky Mountain Christmas.
Fair enough.
He was in the 1995 game Phantasmagoria. Okay then, random.
But yeah, his replacement did a respectable job. In fact, did such a good job. I didn't know it wasn't him until Jim pointed it out. And like I said, for the most part, they got all the voice actors and actresses back, less Robin Williams. You know, they got back Gilbert Gottfried as Iago. I mean, come on, can you really see anyone else but Gilbert Gottfried voicing that damn bird?
No, and yes, Val Benton was the replacement voice of the Sultan for both the second and third films of the series. He's an actor. He's also a rather older gentleman. He's known for using a British accent in a lot of his roles. He's been in a number of Disney films, including playing a number of characters in The Great Mouse Detective, voicing the Sultan in both of the later Aladdin films and the TV series, as well as appearing as characters in Hercules, Gargoyles,
Wow,
and Mighty Ducks.
very good, very good. And then of course they brought back the voice actor for Jafar, whose name escapes me.
Jonathan Freeman, come on.
Nathan Freeman. There we go. Yes, and it would not have been Jafar without him. He
It,
he kind
it,
of made the movie, to be honest.
no, it never is. As I've mentioned before, Jafar has never appeared without Jonathan Freeman behind his voice
Yeah.
in anything. Movies, any TV appearances, House of Mouse, those little things, Kingdom Hearts, the video games. It's always been Jonathan Freeman.
Yeah, but yeah, that I think the movie's biggest detriment was the length. It was just too short. It felt rushed. It felt like a made-for-TV movie. And despite the fact that it was direct to video, I think if they had expanded it to a full theatrical release time and actually put effort behind it, I think this would have been a really, really great movie because it had a really strong concept behind it. And I mean,
Fair enough.
come on, it's the sequel to Aladdin. You get to see what happens to Jafar and Aladdin, and you get explanations. It's perfect for a sequel, and then they're like, "Yeah, let's make it for TV and half-ass it." But if you anyone listening is a fan of Aladdin and likes the first movie and you have not seen the sequel, I do recommend seeing it just you know to see what happens and so you have that part of the story.
Yes,
Because
for the record, uh, this review is being recorded immediately after watching the second and third films, and this was, while I have seen them many times before, including owning one of them on video, this is the first time that Marcus has seen either of the films. So
yes, that is correct. These are my candid comments. But yes, if you have not seen the second one, do see it just for the story and it's not a completely terrible film. It's just the worst out of the three, and yeah.
it is. I agree. It does do an effective job of writing Jafar out and killing him off. Um,
Setting Aladdin up for the TV show.
that is correct. Yeah. So having him written out so he could fight a variety of other villains in the TV series. It did work rather well. It also again set up the character of Abis Mal, who's a recurring villain many times in the TV series.
And set up Dan Castellaneta as the genie.
That too. So there you
And
go.
Sultan as the Sultan.
Well, yeah. So it set up the pilot for the TV series rather well. So that was Return of Jafar. It is available on VHS and DVD. You can find it online. Well, it's technically in the Disney Vault, but internet. So like I said, give it a shot. It's not bad. You can also buy a trilogy Blu-ray. With that said, the third film we're gonna move on here is Aladdin and the King of Thieves. A much, much better movie, if I may say so myself.
I agree.
All right. So Aladdin and the King of Thieves was released in 1996, 2 years after the return of Jafar, which, if you do a little math in your head, will tell you that the animated series was on for exactly 2 years.
All right.
And Aladdin and the King of Thieves is effectively the bookmark ending to the franchise as a whole, barring minor appearances and things like House of Mouse and whatnot later on.
Yes, they Star Wars it, people. It's a trilogy.
Well, as
Foreshadowing.
okay.
They they bought LucasArts.
Oh well, yeah. hmm But as the tagline for Scary Movie 3 tells us, great trilogies come in threes.
Yeah.
Anywho, so this movie came out in 1996, 2 years after the return of Jafar, and bookmarked the franchise by serving as an end to both the film franchise and the television series at the same time. I don't know when this. I'm not sure exactly what the premiere of this film was per se, if it was TV or if it was the VHS release. I first saw it on television. I had seen Aladdin in the theater when it first came out when I was
Yeah.
5, and I had seen Return of Jafar on VHS later on. It had been purchased for me, and so I had seen that, but I had not even been aware that there was in fact a third film until I heard that it was going to be aired on the Wonderful World of Disney, the Disney movie block that used to air on ABC. I don't know if you remember that, Marcus.
Vaguely.
Yeah, there used to be a block every a specific night of the week. I believe it was every Sunday night. They had the Wonderful World of Disney where they would show a Disney movie.
Oh, I do remember that.
Remember that? Yeah, they used to do that all the time. Sometimes it was animated, sometimes it was a live action movie, but it was always a Disney movie. They had that big ass opening where it panned around and Tinkerbell was flying around and there was shit in the windows of the castle, all these movie clips and everything.
Do 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 do.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
So that was on. I remember first seeing it there, and I heard this. I remember seeing a commercial for this saying, "Wait, there's another one? Okay." And then it's Rob Williams as a genie. I'm like, I'm there. Let's do this. So I watched the movie on TV first, and I still have it taped off of TV when I saw it. I said, I'm not missing this. I have that VHS copy somewhere. The one we watched, I rented from my local library at which I work because we have that. Um, but yes, I still have the taped version, which is kind of fun. I feel like that airing on TV might have been the premiere of the movie. I'm not positive.
Wouldn't surprise me.
And I believe that might have been the initial premiere of the film, and then the VHS was probably released around the same time. I'm not sure.
Fair enough.
But at any rate, this is the third film. As I mentioned, Robin Williams does return to this film as the genie. In the two intervening years, I do not recall the gentleman's name, unfortunately. I don't have it in front of me. But the gentleman that was formerly the head of Touchstone Pictures, which, if you don't know, is owned by Disney, had recently become the head of Disney Animated Pictures at that time, and or at least the Disney Television Studios. And the final thing that he had done before moving out of this new job was to greenlight the film Mrs. Doubtfire.
Hmm.
Uh, and so he knew Robin Williams and was on decent terms with him. So upon taking over as the head of the Disney, I think it might have just been the head of Disney Film overall. When he took over, one of his first acts was to issue a public apology to Robin Williams on behalf of the company for their basically blatantly fucking his contract around in the first movie.
Right.
So upon doing so, Robin Williams graciously accepted this apology and agreed to appear in the third film, marking the only instance, to my knowledge, except for the original film in which Robin Williams voices the genie.
Right.
As all other appearances, the TV series, Return of Jafar, the video game appearances to Kingdom Hearts and such, that's all Dan Castellaneta.
Ah.
Yeah. So, that's that. Ugh.
Fair enough.
So, The King of Thieves, as I said, I believe it premiered on Wonderful World of Disney. The film focuses around the wedding of Aladdin and Jasmine that is finally taking place after 3 movies and a 2-year TV series. But unfortunately, the wedding is broken up by an attack by the legendary 40 Thieves. The movie opens, we see Genie decorating the town and throwing on a big-ass musical number complete with pop culture references in true Robin Williams style. At which point, they basically proceeded to go into the plot, which is that the 40 Thieves break up the wedding, and they discover that one of the gifts that they'd received, and I'm kind of also curious as to who the hell had this and gave it the fuck away,
Hmm.
was a scepter, which contained an entity known as the Oracle, voiced by legendary actress CCH Pounder, by the way.
Indeed.
Indeed. And so, effectively, this Oracle will answer one question that anybody asks it. Each person gets one. Everybody gets one. Tell him, Peter. Apparently, everybody gets one. Bingo. Anyway, so effectively, they find the King of Thieves was trying to steal this to find out where the ultimate treasure was. The ultimate treasure being the Hand of Midas, an artifact that turns anything it touches to gold, as per its namesake. After the attack, when the Oracle, and I guess the Oracle is real handy at volunteering information conveniently, by the way, and happens to mention that that Aladdin has questions about his past, and she happens to mention that his father's alive and could answer most of those. So after a wonderful song called "You Don't Come Out of Thin Air," which is a very good song, I like it, the Oracle tells him where to find his father, who is trapped in the world of the 40 Thieves, and Aladdin goes to rescue him, discovering that his father is in fact the King of Thieves, who he fought at the wedding.
I would just like to point out the Oracle did not say that his father was alive. The Oracle said your questions can be answered by your father.
Well, the question is going to be answered by his father if he was dead.
Not necessarily. It was Aladdin who assumed she meant he was alive, which he then verified by asking her where his father was.
Well, his father can't answer any questions if he's fucking dead.
A grave can tell a lot of stuff.
What do you mean?
She could have been referring to, hey, go find your father's grave, you'll find your answers there.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is she didn't outright state he was alive. She implied it, but she didn't state it. It was Aladdin who assumed that's what she was implying.
She kind of showed him.
She showed
Hey,
the picture of him, yes.
no, that was actually live. Like his head was moving around, like he was actually moving.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
That wasn't the photo. He was looking like he was looking around at something. So it showed that kind of he was alive. So she kind
Fair
of gave
enough.
that away.
You can edit
And
this out.
Aladdin doesn't outright ask. He just incredulously says, "My father's alive," like he's in shock, proving that the Oracle showed him he was alive. So yeah, Oracle volunteering information a little bit, but it's convenient for plot, so I'll accept it.
You can edit that out.
That's okay. That said, Lion goes on to find his father, whom he discovers is actually the King of Thieves, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
And thus he tries to convince his father to go straight and to come back and be at his wedding. And hijinks ensue. While Robin Williams does return as the genie, thank God. No offense to Castellaneta, this is way better because of it. The other missing voice actors are still missing, unfortunately. Still no Leah Salonga to sing for Jasmine. Of course, the Sultan's still dead, so still a new guy.
Mm-hmm. By the
And
way, to answer a previous question, it was a direct video release, which means, yeah, you saw it on TV after it was released.
okay,
Because
fair
the
enough.
definition of direct to video is the release of a film to the public immediately on home video formats rather than a theatrical release or television broadcast. For anybody who was wondering.
Fair enough.
Continue.
That's good to know.
See, we learning something.
Yay!
Anyway, sorry for interrupting.
So, with that said,
Yes.
we'll go ahead and continue then. Uh, so effectively, that's the premise of the film: is it bookmarks a series by Aladdin finding his father and trying to find out a little more about his past. Um, the film takes an interesting turn when Aladdin tries to rescue his father, and upon discovering he's the King of Thieves, has to do battle with a villain named Saluk, voiced by Jerry Orbach. And he has to defeat him in battle to the death in order to join the 40 Thieves and not be killed himself, which he does, although Saluk survives and comes back later. So Saluk becoming the main villain eventually turns, hating Kasim for being soft and leading the 40 Thieves with basically a soft hand, not killing innocents and not having all these rules. He effectively betrays the 40 Thieves in order to get them to turn on Kasim, thinking he betrayed them, and turn them on Aladdin, which is thereby the primary plot of the film.
Indubitably.
Indubitably. Marcus, what do you think?
What I think of what, the movie? I thought the movie was.
No, what the fuck do you think I'm talking about?
I don't know. You could be asking me about a specific aspect of the movie.
I'm asking you about we're going back and forth. Movie as a whole, go.
I enjoyed it. It was definitely better than the second one. The it had the movie budget behind it. It had a movie playing time, so they could do more than tell the story. They, like the other two, it had a really good story behind it. But unlike the second one, like I said, it actually had the time to tell the story, and it told the story well. I think it had the full might of Menken and whoever they got to replace the lyricist.
I'm not sure. Let me see. Did he do the music? I'm not sure.
I don't know, but they had a better person behind it than they did in the second one because the music in this movie was actually pretty good.
It was good music. I'm not totally sure. Let's see.
Music by wait, wrong page. One moment. King of Thieves. Oh, it doesn't tell. Lame.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Let's see. It looks like most of the. Let's see. Uh, there's a party here in Agrabah and Out of Thin Air were both words of music by David Friedman. Welcome to the 40 Thieves was by and A Father and Son and Are You In or Out are all by Randy Peterson and Kevin Quinn.
Fair enough.
Of course, the reprise of Arabian Nights as the end was Ashman and Menken, as that was written for the end of the first film, but not used.
Right.
So they did get some decent actors. And these whoever I don't know who these gentlemen are. David Friedman and Kevin Quinn have links, but not a lot of information. Oh, apparently David Freeman. Wow. Okay, that was the soundtrack. Yeah. Thieves. Okay. He hasn't done a lot in terms of soundtrack, but he's been part of He was part of a conductor and a music arranger. He was a conductor and vocal arranger on the original Aladdin film.
Fair enough.
He also worked on Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, and Pocahontas.
Cool.
Yep, yep.
But
So
yeah,
there you go.
the movie was good. Like I said, it had the full might of a effectively movie studio behind it, which was good. The animation quality was so much better than the second one. Oh my god! But of course, I think it's also because, as we stated earlier, with the second one, they were going into a TV show, so they using it as a backdoor pilot for the TV show. It had to have the same look as the TV show. But with this
Mm.
movie, because it was not only ending the TV show, but it was ending the movie trilogy, I think they felt it was only fitting that they went back to the movie quality animation, and I'm glad they did, because especially with, and it was so fitting because they brought back Robin Williams. So you bring him back, and then you give him the full might of movie quality behind it, and it's just, that's gold. That, yeah, you have to do it. You have no choice. You have to do it, and they did it, and they pulled it out, and it's a fun movie. It's a really good movie. It's got good messages behind it, and yeah, I recommend it to, anybody. Actually, it's just that good of a movie. Like, you don't even have to have seen the other movies to enjoy this movie. That's, I think, one of the great things about this one.
No, no,
Whereas,
you don't.
whereas with
And
Return of Jafar, you kind of have to have seen the first one to know what the hell is going on. This one, not so much.
true. And the fun thing about the third film is the fact that the thing is with the third film, if you were to watch just the first film and then the third film, you could do that and you wouldn't be missing anything because there's no references to Return of Jafar in the third film at all.
Actually, you would be missing something.
What?
If you watch the first movie and then you put up the third one, the first question you would ask is, what the hell is Iago doing with Aladdin?
Okay, valid point. You're right. Didn't think about that. You're right.
Wait, when did Iago turn good, and when the hell did he get out of the Cave of Wonders?
Okay, fair enough. You're right. You're right.
So you kind of
That,
have to see the second one to know what the hell's going on.
okay, so okay, so that's the one thing that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
But anyway, yeah, it is a much better film. Like I said, the film does inevitably end with the wedding after Kasim, after trying to get the hand of Midas. Saluk manipulates the 40 thieves to capture Kasim to go after the hand of Midas. They find it. Saluk gets turned into gold like a dumbass.
yeah. By the way, the other thing I just realized, there's one other thing that just doesn't make sense if you go from the first movie to the third movie.
Uh-huh.
Where the hell did the genie come from?
Also true. You're right. But there's nothing saying you can't assume Genie came back. But yes, you're right.
Continue.
So, effectively, Kasim, upon trying to get the hand of Midas with Aladdin, realizes that the stupid golden treasure almost cost him the true ultimate treasure, and that was his son. And so they make up with each other, and they manage to they throw the hand of Midas to the bottom of the sea forever, and they return to Agrabah happy. Unfortunately, Kasim is still a wanted man, so he does have to ride off into the night. But Iago, having befriended Kasim prior to this, in fact getting him arrested at one point, decides to go with him, and they kind of ride off into the night. As Aladdin and Jasmine finally get married, Kasim watching on before he rides off, and the peddler from the beginning of the first film, who started it all off, singing voice Bruce Adler, finished it up with the reprise of Arabian Nights, which was, as I mentioned, originally written for the end of the first Aladdin film, but it was decided that they weren't going to use it. So the song wraps up the entire franchise except for minor appearances, and there we have Aladdin.
Yeah, and I just like to point out, Kasim does not throw the hand of Midas to the bottom of the ocean.
Well, it ends up there.
He throws the hand of Midas and it lands in the boat of the 40 thieves, which it turns to gold and then sinks to the bottom of the ocean.
True. Although that's not what he was trying to do.
No, but
The hand of Midas can take its curse to the bottom of the sea.
pretty much.
No, it ended up at the bottom of the sea, so that's what counts.
All right. Oh, I would highly recommend this movie to fathers and sons, especially fathers and sons who may be a little bit on the outs or maybe having some sort of a tiff between them. Go watch this movie. This is a great father-son movie at the end of the day.
like father and
It's a
son.
great song too.
It is. It is. It's a break fantabulous future. Thank your lucky stars you're alive. All right.
Yeah,
At
I would
any rate,
rank this movie in terms of Father and Son movies. I'd rank it up there with Field of Dreams, and
wow,
I don't say that lightly because Field of Dreams is the ultimate father son movie.
nice.
At least in my book, I love that movie, and this movie is actually pretty good in that respect. But it's Disney, so you kind of expect it from Disney.
This is true. This is true.
Yes, that's my opinion. And silence.
So that is the third movie. It is an excellent film, as we said. We do recommend it. Couple of fun facts about this movie, though, is that because this movie was the bookmark ending to both the movie series and the TV series, there are references to both. Of course, movie references including things like Genie showing wearing a Jafar mask at one point at the opening of the wedding, talking about how Jafar's not there, ruin everything. Um, of course, Iago being on the good side, and whatnot, being a reference to both. A lot of references to sort of both. The Rumboy is back as a genie, being the whole references to the first film where they fell in love and everything.
Mm-hmm. I also love that Disney decided to not only reference their own movies, which they did, and I thought was brilliant the way they did it, but I think maybe for the first time ever, they chose to reference other films and things, and I which surprised the hell out of me. I was like, wow, where are all these references coming from? This is kind of cool.
Well, they had a fuck ton of references in the first movie too. Where the hell were you?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice any
I
of
mean,
that.
not maybe not directly to films, but to people.
Right. Well, with references, I was talking about like lines and like gags and stuff they would pull.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's the scene in the first movie where he's playing chess with the carpet, and he turns to Rodney Dangerfield and goes, "Seriously, I'm losing to a rug."
Well, that's true. Well, yeah,
There's that. There's all kinds of references to him turning into different people and whatnot. So he does do a lot of that. Maybe not. No, he turns into the Marx Brothers in both movies.
that
Um,
turns into
maybe there's not references to specific movies, but there's references to actors.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
You're right.
and yeah, there were a few good references to movies in there. I do agree, but yeah, there were a lot of connections to book ending the TV series. Originally when the film was drafted, the original what I don't know what the original working title might have been, but the original plan for this movie to wrap up everything and to bookmark the focus a little more on the TV series bookmarking than the film series per se was the primary villain was actually going to be Mosenrath,
Hmm.
who, for those of you that don't know, Mosenrath is a wizard or warlock, whatever you want to call him, a powerful sorcerer who is one of, if not the main antagonist of the animated series. He appears at 8 different times over the course of the 2 year series, and his power comes from this brown gauntlet he wears on his right hand that gives him all kinds of evil magical powers, but that also has some negative effects, as demonstrated by at one point when the glove is removed. His hand under the glove is literally skeletal because it's just the glove is just eaten away in his hand.
Wait, so he's Malachite?
Eh.
Come on, I had to make the reference.
Anyway, he wields this gauntlet. He has a sidekick named Xerxes, this little floating thing, and effectively he's the primary antagonist, evil sorcerer dude. And the original plot was going to be that Mosenrath was the primary villain, and rather than Aladdin's father, it was going to be revealed that Mosenrath was actually his brother.
Hmm.
However, they could not get they couldn't get the voice actor for Mosenrath, and they just couldn't quite work it out. So they decided, well, we'll go with Aladdin's father instead, and they wrote the new plot for the movie. At the same time, they still managed to include a lot of ton of references to the animated series that I bet you didn't even see.
Wow.
Specifically, the two primary ones being at the beginning and end of the film, and the two different wedding scenes. I don't know how much of it at the beginning, but I know there's only a few at the end. And it's in the beginning and end of the wedding scenes. If you watch during the wedding processions, in the crowd are all kinds of characters from the animated series.
Well, that would make sense.
There's all kinds of characters, friends that they had made, Prince on Kufma, and all these different allies and friends that they had befriended over the course of the TV series. All came to see the wedding.
That makes sense. By the way,
So
did you ever mention who voices Kasim?
I did not. Kasim is voiced by the wonderful John Rhys Davies.
The legendary John Rhys Davies.
Mm-hmm.
Great actor, great voice. I'm kind of kicking myself for not recognizing the voice earlier because I was like, I know that voice. It's a distinctive voice. Whose voice is that? First, I thought it
Yeah,
was Christopher Lee, which was a good guess.
was
But
close.
I don't know that I would have cast John Rhys Davies for this character. But at the same time, he's played a Middle Eastern before, so I guess it works.
Has he?
Yeah, he played a Arabic guy in Indiana Jones.
Ah, fair enough.
He wore a fez in that movie, actually.
Oh, irony. Anyway, so that is Lion King of Thieves, which comfortably bookmarks the franchise as a whole. 3 movies, 2-year animated series, a grand total of, let's see, of a 4-year franchise as a whole. Bookmarked in a nice little package. Wrapped up, Aladdin and Jasmine are finally wed. The peddler finishes his song, revealing that maybe, if you believe, the entirety of the franchise was just him telling his tale that he began on that lonely night.
Possible.
So there you go. And in that entire ending sequence, we see Aladdin and Jasmine on the carpet. We see Iago riding with Kazim. We do not see the genie.
He's probably keeping the Sultan company in the palace.
Or he's the peddler.
Or he's the peddler. But we don't see the Sultan either, so is the Sultan the peddler?
That would be stupid. But anyway. So there you have it. Those are the Aladdin sequels. They're both decent films. The third one better than the second, but both certainly worth a watch if you're a fan of Aladdin. Give them a watch. I encourage it.
As do I.
I said they are available. You can find them. Sooner or later, they're going to come back out of the Disney Vault. Probably when the original does. They'll probably be a trilogy set. Buy it. Worth it. And there you go. So that wraps up the